Muted.
Aha, there we go. Once again, we're starting our associate monthly call right now for November, and we do have some topics today that I do believe are of interest, and actually for a few different reasons, and I'll kind of explain more as we move along. But we do appreciate you being a part of the program up to now. We actually are making more of a concerted effort to expand the program and possibly recruit some additional folks, which we did do over the last few weeks, but even on a larger scale. So with that being said, I'm assuming you all can see my screen. I'm going to just jump into the meeting notes that actually Allison prepared this month for us. First of all, we just wanted to wrap up QB Connect. It actually was when you do a show like that, we're still, what you would call a smaller company. You kind of try to lay out your specific agenda and things you'd like to accomplish there. And honestly, going back through my notes, I think we accomplished pretty much everything we set out to do. And a large part of that was the participation of the associates that were there and attended and signed up in some cases to actually be there for 20 to 30 minutes at the booth. So it worked out extremely well. Everyone that participated just did a fantastic job. In fact, we kind of chuckled at different points. We just kind of folded our arms, closed our mouths, and watched them go. And so had some just great representation of the product and the concept. And actually, Casey's just joining us. She was one of the ones that were there. That's the only one I see. Other than Travis was there also. He wasn't, and he was at our booth for a little while as well. But anyways, just a very big thank you to everyone that participated and for everyone's support. We actually made some connections with some other pretty prominent channel partners and also some folks that are very active in the viral world, which is one of our objectives for that event. So it in general was a success for us. And as I hinted to some of you, we're actually planning to send something out to those folks that helped us out. And again, we're just a really big asset to our overall success at the conference. And I know some folks actually today and this week are at Account Tech. So I know a few people told me that they won't be able to make it today because they're attending Account Tech or had other commitments that they were involved with. But again, thank you very much just for an overall success. The Qbox brand, it's always rewarding for myself, and I know Allison's starting to experience it too, but to be an event like that and have a mix of people that are coming up because they've heard about you through word of mouth and they're curious, and it's also equally rewarding to have the people come up that are using it and just want to tell you how excited they are about it and how much they really appreciate it and how it's simplified their life interacting with their desktop clients. One of my biggest kicks was we dragged TS down there, I think one evening, maybe twice, and I told him I wanted to do an announcement on our Twitter page, which he didn't want any part of. But we had a couple of folks that were just so excited to see him, one in particular that I think it kind of overwhelmed him to know he was a Qbox celebrity. So anyways, it was a lot of fun and just a very successful event for us. Hopefully they'll have us back next year, even though we're not related to QBO. But thank you very much again. So the next item we have on our agenda is the updated associate program. And essentially for a few different reasons, kind of I won't go into a whole lot of detail, but based on the nature of the product and the cost points and what it looks like for us to even attempt to market to end users, we really have had some strong counsel that we need to focus more on expanding our associate program, and gave us kind of a lot of different ideas and directions that we should go with that narrative. So we actually have slightly morphed the associate program for everyone going forward, so it doesn't affect the existing associates, but some of those changes that we've made are just going to be focused on really, again, expanding the brand, getting the word out to more people, because that still is a very common statement we hear from people. Why haven't I heard of you before? This is the greatest thing in the world. I do have these desktop folks that aren't going to move. So, just, again, a very concerted effort to try to expand the brand name. But a couple of pieces of that, line item 3 are, first of all, associates going forward will just receive 2 free folders. So again, everyone on this call, and this is not an age reference, but you're all grandfathered into our existing program. So all of the folders you have and continue to add will continue to be free. But going forward, we're going to limit that down to 2 free folders. per associate. And then also we're going to give them an initial incentive program that's just kind of a, get them started, get them excited, because you folks have all been very generous. We know the reality is it takes a while to build a residual when, the cost point is $9 a month with no cost for shared users. So we're going to try to build a front-end incentive for them to get excited and, reach certain thresholds and have bonuses related to that, in addition to the standard commission that we, all are familiar with. We also, one of the other changes that will be taking place that's exciting for new associates as well, we think would be exciting for all of you, is that we're going to add a resources line or page to our website that'll feature all of the associates and specific categories that you have an expertise in. So bottom line, if someone visits the page and we have a place where they can say, gee, I need a Qbox expert for help with this particular type, issue or topic, then basically they would pull up a registry of X number of associates that have designated that they're an expert in that particular field. And the way that it's actually going to work is that, and we'll have to do a little bit backwards with everyone that's a current associate, but we're going to give you a list of items that you can check which boxes you'd like to receive referrals for. For example, point of sale or whatever, accountant's copies or specific areas that you already work with clients, supporting them or doing consulting work. You can check that box, and then the system is actually going to have its own automatic component that basically it's kind of like Google Analytics or Google searches. Based on the number of hits or inquiries you have in general through the Qbox system in your associate account, that's going to prioritize you on a regular basis. So if associate 1 has 50 people that have pinged their name through the associate account, they're going to be at the top of the list when someone does a search. Everyone else will be there, but it's going to have a priority in that list based on the amount of activity that associates had. So, and a copy of that new program has been placed in the resources folder. Again, all current associates will be grandfathered into the current model, and with some of the new components, including the resources and referrals, we'll obviously have a deeper dive into some specific detail about how that's going to work, and we'll also send you the information to go to your associate dashboard to make the selection as to what areas you specialize in, so you can be included in that search process. So again, really the goal again is just to kind of, you guys have all been very patient with us. We obviously are a young company and been trying to really formalize our product while simultaneously improve on how we go to market and how we communicate about Qbox. So this is now a significant piece for us, is just kind of rounding off the rough edges of the associate program with the intent of just giving people more tools and opportunity to not only promote Qbox, but receive a reward themselves for being part of the associate program, both financially and now in the way of getting referrals as well. So again, we'll have more explanation about the referral process in the next month or so. Contest to start. So contest, as you all know, we waited until after QB Connect, and we appreciate your patience. That's why we kind of prepared ourselves and got ready for that event. But Allison emailed out the contest rules last week, and essentially the contest rules it's a point system once again, and we're going to announce the winner during the associate call in February. But essentially the contest is really centered around kind of pieces that we've done in the past, most posting of items, but also one of our goals going forward with the associates is just to have a better partnership or communication process where we can help you to hear some of the ways that other associates have been successful in promoting Qbox, how they're able to generate more traffic. And oh, by the way, of course, as you're generating more traffic to your Qbox links and getting people to inquire about Qbox through your associate URL, they're also now going to be landing on the page with the opportunity to choose you as a specialist for some of those referral items. So the goal is that we just again create this more synergistic relationship where of course there's a selfish interest on our side. You're going to help us to create more traffic to the website, but also we hope that we're going to take it even to another level. In the past, as you know, with Lexi and now with Allison, we were reposting any information that you had posted about Qbox if you sent us the link. But now we're going to try to take that even a step further, where we're going to try to partner with you, to create some more positive opportunity for people to click on your link, receive more residual income, and have a greater opportunity as well to be referred to other people inquiring about Qbox. The next item is kind of my pet project or brainstorm that I came up with, and this is something we'll be talking a lot about over the next 30 to 45 days, and we've done a mock-up of the website for it. We've already bought the domain, and we've already contracted with Zoom. Misha, yes, we're going to use Zoom for our ongoing webinars that we'll do, but we're creating a new site and a new group and a new bi-weekly meeting called Desktop Time. And so the goal of Desktop Time is really just to start gathering all of these folks that are either existing Qbox users or have just gotten to that point. And it's funny, you go to a show like QB Connect and you just get this confirmation from people that are still going to shows like that and feel like a deer in the headlights because they're so QBO-centric. So we absolutely know there's some number of folks out there where QBO or Zero are a fit for them, but for those folks that want to stay on their desktop, we're just going to try to collect those people and provide them with information and webinars and opportunities with like-minded people that are just interested in hearing how they can expand their performance in the desktop world. So each month we'll have guest speakers from our channel partners or other organizations that also are promoting themselves actively with QBO, but other folks like T-Sheets and Expensify and all these different companies, they also support desktop. So the goal is to have this bi-weekly forum where we have people that are talking specifically about integration with desktop, how their product works with desktop, how they can continue to use the desktop version of QuickBooks, and then of course we're going to be the owner and the host of Desktop Time. It's going to be branded completely on its own, although they'll always hear that it's promoted and run and engineered and funded by Qbox. So we don't have any intentions of charging people to participate. We're going to try to get people like yourself and other prominent people in the viral community to appear and participate as guest speakers. So we're just going to try to make it also an kind of a light, entertaining, and fun venue for people to participate, with also some active participation by our channel partners, them also wanting to partner with folks like us that have a good connectedness to the desktop community. So so hopefully it'll be exciting for all of you. I know a lot of you are similar to our typical Qbox user, where they have X amount of people using a hosted situation for some clients, X amount that are on a SaaS-based program like QBO or Zero, but then you're trying to help out those folks that have a desktop file that want to continue using it. And we actually interact with a range of people. We have some accountants that we hear from them all the time that basically say, I don't work with them unless they're desktop, and we hear the other way, of course, too, and they're not our clients, because they have some that say, hey, if they won't go QBO, I won't work with them. But we literally still have some practices where they say, if they're not desktop, I don't work with them, I don't have anything to do with them. That's still more of the exception for us in our business model and the types of folks that we work with. Probably our largest user base is still that accounting and bookkeeping firm where they have those percentages I mentioned earlier, X% on some hosted, X% on SaaS, and then X% that are staying on desktop. So, but neither here nor there. The goal of Desktop Time is just to start collecting, as I always call the tired and huddled masses that are tired of being told that they're stupid or they're backwards or they're unintelligible or they're closed-minded, or kind of sounds like the election last week a little bit, but just letting them know that we want to provide them the resources and the education and the opportunities to continue using desktop and give them direct access to some of the resources in support of that. So so the official launch plan is for January. Again, it's going to be a biannual webinar that we do and host and provide. So you'll obviously be seeing a lot of information about that. We are going to ask all of you, of course, if you can, put it on your calendar, and if you would be willing to participate in the first webinar that we have, then that'll help our initial numbers, and we also always appreciate your input as the experts in the field. So next item, archive and custom sync folders. So you received an email from the system letting all of our users know about archive folders are going to be coming out soon. You know, the messaging is going to be, for the folks that you communicate with, it's a pretty significant shift in that some folks are going to assume it's actually a, you know, everything in the past we've just included as part of Qbox. But what the intent of the archives folders is for folks, and first and foremost, really folks that want to share attachments to a QuickBooks file with a remote shared user and want to just have an efficient way to do that. But oh, by the way, the archive folders provide all of those wonderful functionalities that, you know, Dropbox and the Google Drives of the world have. So and even, you know, we've had a lot of discussion with you know, some of the more industry-specific document sharing resources. So what we do know is it's going to have a separate cost for it. Most likely it's going to be about $11 to $12 for an archive folder. But even at that price, it's still going to be significantly less than, you know, other folks that are doing similar type of document archival, you know, within the accounting space. If they're committed to using one of the free shareware options where it's just, there's not as much opportunity for categorization and unique storage, then that's going to be their choice. But what we're assuming and hoping is that the folks that are already using Qbox, they don't have to buy an archive folder, but for the people that want to have that type of integration, either with attachments or that just want to have a storage process for all of their practice that's integrated with Qbox, so they don't have, you know, two separate autonomous systems, they'll be interested in the archive folders. And when those are released, I don't think any of you that I'm aware of use custom sync folders, but we are going to cut those off, which is a happy joy for us, only because, you know, we designed that concept 3 or 4 years ago and thought it was going to be fantastic and accountants would love it, and the adoption of it has been abysmal. So, you know, for regular sync folders, if you did a straight percentage, I would say probably 0.1% of our total users are custom sync folder users. So we've just decided, you know, we spend more time describing how it works and have people say that sounds great and never use it, that it's just not practical for us to continue to maintain that. So as we've always done, the existing folks that have custom folders can not only keep their current custom sync folders, but they can also continue to create them if they so choose. But as far as new users going forward, it's going to drop right off the pricing page. No one will ever even know what they were or what they were about. Everyone will only have regular sync folders available to them. Okay, and then the last one, fast sync. So, and this is kind of one of our jokes behind the scene. The super fast sync has now become the fast sync. So what they, in the engineering process, and I mentioned passively before that they were actually looking at a completely different process for how they were going to synchronize data from a user's computer up to the cloud and over to shared users, and they were going to be doing it more in a snapshot type basis as opposed to a thorough, you know, sync evaluation process like Qbox does now. They were actually going to be sending patches, which is going to significantly reduce the sync time down to like seconds, even for users with a larger file. So there's some kind of engineering quirks and problems related to that also, and it creates a mammoth amount of storage for each and every file in the system. So they've actually reworked it, and essentially what they're doing now is they're re-engineering the sync process altogether. So not without going into a whole lot of detail, previously the sync process does an evaluation of a QuickBooks file in batches, and it goes through separate components and treats them as separate batches. So with the new sync process, Qbox will have the ability to identify first only the sections or components that have data that needs to be updated or synced to the cloud, and it'll focus just on those particular portions of the file as opposed to going through, you know, a complete screening or analysis of the file. So super fast sync would have been seconds. The not so super fast sync is going to still take it down to, you know, most likely 30 seconds to a minute. So most people's sync times will be dramatically reduced. And as always, it's predicated as well on their internet time. And we still get those calls. We have people that call and say, gee, my Qbox isn't working, and we do a speed test and they're, 0.1 megabits per second upload or worse. And so we explained to them with a secured site, you can't have crappy internet and expect it to work. It's going to be problematic for you. So some of those issues or situations, we find out they thought they had faster speed, and their next phone calls to their cable or internet company to complain. But others, they've chosen Qbox because they have lousy internet and they know it. So anyway, so there, I see a question from Travis. Can I literally drop Dropbox programs and just use archive? Yes, you can actually. So that will give any user the ability to say, okay, I'm going to put all of my eggs into one basket. I'm going to use an archive folder for all of my other types of documents, and it won't have the limited number of documents Qbox also has now. So you can pretty much share any file format just as you can with Dropbox. So again, for the folks that are interested in that type of functionality and file sharing, I think it'll be incredibly valuable to them. In fact, ironically, at QB Connect, I had one of Intuit's corporate attorneys come up, and we struck up a conversation, and he mentioned he was looking for a better document archival system for their legal documents at Intuit, and so I gave him a quick flyover of the new archive folders, and he's very interested, and he's one of the people that are going to be most likely trying it out in the January-February timeframe. So I do think it'll be very attractive, again, to people that have extensive attachments to their file that they want to share with the remote users. A lot of our existing Qbox users, when they have attachments, they're interested in sharing the QuickBook file, but they don't need their remote shared users to access the attachments. So that's why, excuse me, up to now it hasn't really affected a large part of our business. But going forward, if you have that interest, then it'll be much easier to do that. So I think that concludes everything we had to talk about today. And with that, I'm going to go ahead and open up everyone's microphones. And if anybody has any questions, I'm giving you a 3-second warning to turn off any background noise, close the windows, shoo the rock band out the window, put the dog outside, so everyone's coming live now. Okay, so again, does anybody have any questions we can answer? Or
I have a question, Chris. This is Casey.
Okay.
Hello?
Yeah, go ahead, Casey.
Oh, sorry. I wasn't sure if you could hear me. So in the archive folder, will we have the ability to limit access to specific documents to specific users? In other words, maybe one user can only see these 2 documents and not the rest?
Oh boy, I should have had TS join us, and we'll give you guys a formal demonstration before it goes live. But my understanding is that, I don't know, Casey. Let me make sure I get a good answer and email you back about that, because I do believe there's going to be more specificity in how you break down who has access to certain files that you're sharing through the archive folder. But I need to get better details for you.
So I only ask because I use Dropbox, and sometimes I create a folder within Dropbox and invite someone to that folder only. So that's why.
Okay, and again, I know they're engineering this to be compatible or comparable to the functionalities of systems like Dropbox. I'm assuming that's also the case, but let me double check and send you an email. Because I've seen it run a couple of times on one of their sample systems, but I haven't drilled down and really kind of torn into it yet. So, but I can get back to you with that answer.
Sure, no problem. Thanks.
Hey, Chris. This is Jeremy.
Yeah, I have a quick
question for you.
So I know that there's limitations for the Qbox Explorer. Like if I had to create a second email to set up my laptop to access if I'm doing something remotely and I'm not in my office, so I had to do that. Am I going to have the same limitations if we do the archive and we set that up? Say if I want to start utilizing that, am I under the same limitations? And then I guess the other question was already asked and we don't have an answer yet on that as far as like controlling who has access. So do you have any insight on that?
Yeah, so that I mean that's not I'm going to kind of pick up one of your words. It's not a limitation. It's just that every system has a user ID that it chooses. If it's not a hosted system, then it has to have an identifier for each client or each user. So that process will not change. Each computer is still going to have its own unique identifier. So if and again, so once in a while people get a little frustrated hearing that, but that's what provides the security of knowing if you're inviting a shared user, the client otherwise doesn't know what that user should have access to or not have access to. So that's just part of the inherent security of cloud-enabled file sharing. So that will be consistent also, but you won't have to have a second user, client user for. So if you already have Qbox installed on the laptop, you can use that same email. That would be the same invited user, because the archival system is almost freestanding, and what we're expecting to happen is, let's say you're Joe Accountant and you already have your client you've invited to a Qbox folder. Well, it's not necessarily probable that the accountant would create the archival folder, because they're probably not the one that needs it, but the client may. So the client under his Qbox account can create the archival folder and then decide who they're going to invite. So they may not even invite their accountant to the archival folder. They may create the archival folder under their Qbox and say, well, gee, now I need to share some documents with Joe Attorney and Bob the doctor, or Betty at home. So they're going to have their own separate group of invited users to the archival folder. The same
Gotcha.
folks that are part of the Qbox folder won't be automatically invited to the archival folder. So the only thing I'm not sure of, and back to Casey's question, is once they create the folder, what's the level of specificity within their archival folder as to how much delineation can they have for separate users for documents contained within their archival folder? But I will find that out.
Okay, and so just to clarify, so I could have just used my same email on when I installed Qbox on my laptop instead of creating a new one?
Oh, no,
for
no,
some
no,
reason.
no.
Okay.
No, I'm saying that I apologize. No, that is never going to change. Each individual machine where the client's being downloaded will always need to have a separate email, because we just happen to pick emails as user IDs. So we didn't. The system wasn't picking. Some systems actually pick user IDs for the separate users. They picked up when they designed Qbox to use email addresses as user IDs. So shared users will always need to have a separate email ID for any separate computer where Qbox is installed. So all I was mentioning, and I apologize for the confusion, is if the laptop already has Qbox installed with that separate email address, you won't need another email address for the archival folder. It'll be part of your existing Qbox account on that computer. Yeah.
Okay. Thanks.
Thank you. Somebody else
Chris,
had a question. Yeah.
Sorry. One more thing on a side note. Were you able to come up with some more images and things like that, like we discussed, some higher res stuff, or
yeah,
some website banners and stuff?
Jeremy, just put me on blast, man. No, it's been kind of my problem is whenever things become a bigger thing, then it always gets bogged down. So the answer is no, but very, very, very soon. I promise you we'll have them within, I'll say within a week, because I've just been working with the engineers to extract all the different elements so we can have a good resources folder with a large number of elements that are all higher resolution elements. So I appreciate your patience, but I don't have it yet.
I'm not trying to throw you under the bus.
I'm already there, Jeremy. Pull me out.
All right, thanks.
All right. Any other questions? I think I heard somebody. Yes, Misha.
Chris, it's Misha. I might put it in the chat. Is it just Dropbox, or will you be able to sync it with Box.com?
Well, no, it's its own autonomous system. So I don't know of integration with any other third-party.
Oh, I'm sorry. I thought I heard you said it was going to be integrated with Dropbox.
No, not integrated, but the functionalities will be comparable.
Similar to. Okay,
yeah,
so
right.
I could realistically move my clients over to Qbox versus running them on Box.com.
Yeah, exactly. So
okay,
all I was trying to say is that of course, they're much bigger than us and have a lot more money, so we try to come up with our own strategies on how we can provide a product that integrates very well with QuickBooks and also provides the functionalities that they've already created and the concepts and the ideas. So so we do appreciate also input and suggestions on functionalities, but they're doing a lot of their research based on other systems that are providing that type of file sharing already. So that's all I meant.
Okay, no problem. Thanks.
Okay. Any other questions? Okay, well, if there are no other questions, I just want to thank everyone again for joining us today. And Casey, I will get back to you by email with your answer. And Jeremy, I'll keep you posted too about the elements once we have them in the resources folder. And Misha, thank you for reminding me to record. And hopefully, again, we'll have more information to send you about desktop time. We're actually, Allison's working on I did an initial mock-up of the website, which as always is ugly and just has my ideas in it, and Allison's doing an actual creating the website right now. So we'll obviously give you information about it. Like I say, we already have the domain, and now we're just putting the look and the taste to it. So, but the goal is to have our first webinar in the month of January, so we'll be providing more information about that. So thank you very much again for your time today, and please don't hesitate to call or email if you have any other questions. Thanks again. Have a wonderful day.
Thanks, Chris.
Thanks, Chris.
Thanks, Chris. Have a good one.
You too. Bye-bye.